From the sidelines to your ears, it's the BenchWarmers Podcast, where sports meets humor. I am your host, Zack, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jordan. How you doing today, Jordan?
Good. Glad to be back, man. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Absolutely.
I made a post on our Facebook that we had some things going on this past week, so we're sorry that we couldn't get an episode out, but we're excited to get going into this one and get you some sports news going on in the world.
Absolutely.
On the agenda today, Jordan, I think we're going to cover WWE real quick. We had a segment on Raw that should probably be covered. And then we're going to get into the NFL free agency. It's been kind of a slow week for NFL news, sports news in general. If we have time, we might cover some other things. Maybe we'll talk about how bad our March Madness brackets are, or something like that. But we'll make a full hour out of it, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to break down, a lot to discuss, man.
Oh yeah, so let's kick it off, Jordan. We're kicking it off in Raw right now, right?
Yes, sir. And Raw started off with a bang. John Cena comes out, and we get a really good promo from John Cena. I don't know if you caught any of that, but
I did see some of it.
Yeah.
I think I sent you a meme earlier.
Yeah, you did.
It,
and speaking of those, dude, I'm loving every single one of those John Cena memes. But it was a very emotional promo, and it was completely different side of Cena that we haven't seen in a very long time. He goes off on us fans, dude. He just lays right into us. Thoughts that come to mind right now are when he pointed out that kid, and was talking trash to the kid, calling the rest of the people out on them not being there for him and taking advantage of him, and all kinds of stuff like that. Honestly, it was jam packed, dude. What were your thoughts on it before we go any further?
I'm loving this heel turn with John Cena. I think we've talked about this before in past episodes that he's going to do some work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not his first go at being a heel. I think it's his first time being as aggressive of a heel. And I'm loving it. But the only thing I didn't care for, and it's not even the way he talked. It's not what he talked about. It's he came out in his old attire, rise above hate, and you can't see me, and all that stuff. I think they should have went a different way with it. Maybe it's just me, but
No, you're absolutely spot on, because going back to our last episode, we talked about that a lot, and we both said that there has to be some type of change, and he actually went into that in that promo before Cody Rhodes came out. When he was mentioning that stuff, he pretty much said, "You guys ain't gonna get something new. You guys don't deserve something new."
That's true. He did say that.
I think that's gonna lead into a change within his music, in his attire, but I think it's going to be on his terms. In kayfabe, I think it's going to be on Cena's terms on when he does it, and I hope it's after Fastlane. I really do, because if he does it now, it's going to be a little too soon. But if you catch the audience off guard, and then at Fastlane or after Fastlane, we get John Cena coming out alongside The Rock in new gear and with new music. But for now, I really like this. I really, really, really like this version of John Cena. It's a refresher, man. It is.
Oh, it definitely is from what we've normally seen
Yeah,
from him.
absolutely. And
Um,
just man, I can't go into detail enough about the way John Cena can carry himself on the microphone, man. Because we could sit here for a whole fucking hour talking about, you know, John Cena and his work of art that he's done over the past 25 years. And well, going on in the promo, he actually was talking about his 25-year tenure in the company and how the fans were ungrateful, and they pretty much what he said is that they were all leeches and we've leached off of him, and now don't we don't have the right to talk anymore in John Cena's eyes. We don't have the right to do anything that involves John Cena in John Cena's eyes. And I like that. It goes to what we had said the last time, and the heel character that John Cena is going to play, where I am better than you. You guys screwed me over. You guys took advantage of me all these years, and I just played the fool. And I like it. Cody Rhodes then comes out, and this is where I think that Cody could use a little bit more work on the mic. He's really good. We'll start there. Cody Rhodes is a really good promo, but in this one though, I wasn't really feeling his words. Well, for one, it was short and sweet, and it was to the point. And the point is this John Cena that you see now cannot beat Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes says he didn't say it, word by word just like that, but he called him a little bitch, dude.
yeah, he did.
He called him a little bitch, and he says that he wants the old John Cena to come and fight him at WrestleMania 41. And I'm not sure what old Cena he is referring to. Is he referring to the Doctor, or is he referring to the one that we've seen? Yeah, that one.
Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah. I mean, are we gonna get
Kurt Angle one?
Are we gonna get John Cena in fucking high vis gear again, or no? Because I'm not that prototype thing. Leave that shit in fucking OBW, man. Because no, we're not doing that. I hope not, at least. But for the most part, dude, this promo was good, and even though I kind of shit on Cody there, I mean, it's John Cena, I would have brought my A game.
Oh yeah, definitely. My predictions for this match, though, I see John Cena walking out.
Oh yeah.
WrestleMania with the belt, definitely. And then I bet he holds on to it until SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's my
I think they
too.
give him that kind of that long of a run. I think that's fair.
That's very fair. I think he deserves it too.
Oh yeah, he does deserve it. And we talked about this before, and I don't know. I haven't really seen much of Ric Flair, rant and raving on social media lately. But there could still be a line where people interfere, whether it be The Rock or whoever The Rock has on his payroll,
Yeah.
Or, even Ric Flair coming out, and God hope that doesn't happen.
I hope not.
Because we don't need to see Mae Young the second coming out and
yeah, dude, definitely.
Taking a Bubba bomb through the table.
Right, dude. I am seeing a lot of chatter about one Stone Cold Steve Austin being a part of this match, kind of like how The Undertaker was, because last year that was the rumor, but they just simply couldn't afford Stone Cold during that WrestleMania 40 main event where Cody won the title. Because a lot of people were confused about that. Why was it The Undertaker that showed up when we all know that Stone Cold and The Rock were bitter enemies? And just to add fuel to the flame on that rumor, Stone Cold will be in Vegas for, what was the WWE World, that signing thing that they got going on? He will be there. So that to me says that he's going to be involved in something. Don't know, it could be that, but he's gonna be involved in something at WrestleMania 41.
Oh, definitely. I would assume he's gonna be in some capacity. He's gonna be there. I think people forget though that The Rock and the Undertaker actually had quite a bit of history back
Oh yeah, let's not forget
in the 90s and the early 2000s. So I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of works if you're not like an old head. Like I'm not saying that we're old heads of wrestling, but we've been watching wrestling a long time, and we watched when The Rock and the Undertaker and Stone Cold and all of them were in their prime. And The Rock and Undertaker had a lot of history.
Remember that promo of Rock on the Titantron talking about Undertaker's Mickey Mouse tattoos?
Yeah.
I think it was that same backstage segment where he makes fun of Triple H. I am the game.
Yeah, he makes fun of them all because weren't they all in a? Was that a Hell in a Cell match or?
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the one where Rikishi took the spot off the cell and went into the hay truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, and all of that was great. But yeah, nonetheless, like Zack said, Undertaker and Rock were actually rivals. If you're not fans like myself and Zack, though, for the most part, Stone Cold and The Rock are probably the only two from the 90s that you know. Unless you're an old pervert, then you're going to recognize Trish, Lita, and if you're older than that, fucking Mae Young. I mean,
Mae Young.
yeah, bro, I guess she was a looker.
Well, I believe that, but I always wondered what Bubba's vendetta was against Mae Young. He put her through so many tables,
bro. And how about Jim Ross selling that motherfucker too? By God! He broke her in half.
Didn't what were they weren't Fatu brothers, but they're part of the same family. It was the guy who played as Umaga and his brother. What was that tag team?
Oh, 3 minutes or
Something like that.
Rosie and Jamal.
What's that?
Rosie and Jamal.
Yeah. I just remember, I think it was Jamal came off the freaking top rope and splashed right on the Mae Young. I thought he smashed her.
Yo, she took so
like
many
a pancake.
Bumps.
She did, and she was a trooper about it too.
Hell yeah, and dude, that woman is a fucking legend for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All those bumps. She was what, 80-something years old during that
Taking
Bubba thing.
A bump like that, yeah.
And she lived forever. Like you were talking about Rosie and Jamal. Those men are like 350 fucking maybe even more pounds, dude. And they're landing on this small fucking woman that should be in a nursing home. Yeah. That is crazy. But back to Raw. So yeah, you know that Cena Rhodes thing is heating up. And I expect, you know, the same people who were involved in last year's, maybe minus a few, and we'll get into that later on. Undertaker, Rock, maybe even Austin in there. And then
we'll have to do like a WWE history video.
Yeah,
you know, go back some.
Yeah, we should. We should do some reactions to some old Attitude Era stuff.
We could watch some clips and do some reactions.
Yeah, dude, because there's a lot of stuff from the past that I feel like, you know, we could use some refreshing on, or just
definitely
down memory lane, you know. But yeah, so I'm really excited for this, and I know you are too, for the for WrestleMania in general, but mainly for the Cena and Rhodes match. You know, then I got Penta defeating Ludwig in a no holds barred match, and that was pretty good. I liked the spot in that match where Penta delivered the Penta driver to Ludwig Kaiser through the chair. Did you see that?
Yep.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Clip. That one was really good. That was a good clip.
Penta is just, dude. He really is the man. That's my number 2 for greatest luchadors of all time. There's not really much to say there. Penta.
I don't know if I'd put him at number 2. I think.
Who else? Just curious. No, we're not gonna really go into that. But who else would you put in there?
Well, obviously Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no better. And Eddie Guerrero, he was a luchador at one time. Yep. So it's got to be Rey, Eddie, Penta. And not just because Eddie's a legend and rest in peace to him, but it's just the work he did when he was around. You know, And
Yeah.
you watch interviews with wrestlers, and they just loved working with Eddie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't. I don't think you can get any better than Ray and Eddie at the top two.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna go like greatest luchadors of all time, the Guerrero family themselves, dude. You can't like Eddie's dad, Chavo.
Which Chavo, I see he's back in TNA,
Yeah,
so maybe we see a return
I
into
hope so.
WWE.
I hope so because I know, like, I seen a clip a while back of him commenting on like the LWO stuff and going into that, and he seemed kind of like bummed out that he wasn't there. So I'm hoping that this could be like a revive of him. I'd like to
Yep.
see. He looks to be in great shape, dude.
Oh, he does. I mean, he can't be. I mean, he's got to be what, 50s? I don't think he's in his 60s.
Yeah. Jeez.
Let's see. Chavo Guerrero Jr. How old is he? Oh, he was born in 1970. So he's 54. So I mean, he's not. I mean, he's in his 50s. Obviously, he's up there in age for a wrestler. But there's guys in their 50s
Yeah.
that did this. I mean,
Yeah.
Undertaker. How old was he? When he finally retired.
Dude, he did it for 3 decades. So yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
so all time you have to Ray. There's nobody who has brought more to the game and has done more for lucha libre wrestling and brought it onto a mainstream level than Rey Mysterio. And if we're talking all time, dude, fuck, you got to go El Santo. That's number 2. I'd throw Eddie at number 4 because you don't forget you got Conan, who was a main staple on the other side in TNA with what was I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on this faction. It had Conan was the leader. Then it had
You know more about TNA than I do.
Santana and Ortiz. It's Super Crazy.
That's Super Crazy. I remember Super Crazy.
Yeah, and Psychosis.
He was good. Yeah, he was good too. I remember him too.
But as far as today's wrestling goes, there's no other lucha libre that's going above Penta at number 2 and Ray at number 1. Those are guys are active today, and are actually putting on, for their native country and
definitely,
stuff
yeah.
like that. That's how that's how I would measure it and look at it.
Yeah, wrestling today. Yeah, you're probably right. And then I would put Penta's partner there, Ray Fenix. He's probably up there too because his stuff that he's putting on is pretty good as well.
Yeah, and then can't forget the LWO. We're going way far left on this one, but so Penta defeats Ludwig, and I'm really excited for this direction for Penta. We'll get into it because the main event of Raw was actually really good too. Zack, I gotta bring this up because I know you're a fan of this guy. What the fuck happened on Monday with Jey Uso and Gunther? Because I mean, first of all, he beats Austin Theory within a minute, and he didn't even hit a spear. He didn't hit an Uso splash.
Yeah,
he hit him with a
fucking
crossbody and beat him in 1 minute. In 1 minute.
Yep.
What are we doing here? Is Jey Uso stronger than Gunther, Roman Reigns, Punk, Rollins all combined, or what's going on here? I mean, I know it's Austin Theory, but still.
I don't understand what they're doing. I think they're trying to make Jey Uso look like something he's not. Just because of who he's going up against at WrestleMania. I mean,
it's hard to buy into,
Well, it definitely is. I don't buy it.
I don't either.
We've talked before about this, and if Jey wins at WrestleMania, that's a big upset. I mean, it's a huge upset.
Would you say that it's if Jey loses? I mean, Jey wins at WrestleMania. Would you say that it sets Gunther back about 2 years or a year and a half?
Oh, definitely.
because
Definitely, it has to.
yeah, I would say so too because look at the work that him and Sami Zayn did after the 600 some odd days of him being Intercontinental Champion. Sami Zayn, they built that story up. That was a believable story. Sami Zayn came
Right.
off as the underdog. He was the underdog. Everybody written him off as he's not going to do it. Gunther has this incredible reign, and then Sami Zayn goes in there, not only wins the match, but he puts on a clinic with Gunther.
Yep.
And I mean, I know
Yeah,
the two are different in age and stuff like that, but I just
to have an underdog story work, right? You can't do what they're doing with Jey Uso. I mean, just you can even go back. We just talked about Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio he won a world heavyweight title in a triple threat match with Batista and Kurt Angle.
Yep.
That's one of the greatest underdog wins of all time.
They still
and
talk
then
about it to this day.
To this day, and even we just talked about Eddie Guerrero too. Eddie Guerrero beating Brock Lesnar
At WrestleMania.
for the WWE at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
That was an underdog story.
Yeah.
Like, and they didn't make Eddie or Ray like out to be these like guy who can beat anybody.
No, they stuck to the script, of their.
Yep,
I mean,
they
stuck
stuck to it.
They stuck to the character of Eddie Guerrero. They stuck to the character of Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio's what, 5'10" and $160 or something like that.
Right.
Dude.
Yeah,
They sold that match for that triple threat, and even down not even WrestleMania, but think about Jeff Hardy winning his first WWE Championship.
Yeah, that was a triple threat match too, a Triple H and Edge.
Yep. Triple H is one of the greatest. So is Edge. And Jeff Hardy comes in. They build him up as an underdog. They build him up. He was losing all these matches. He kept getting screwed over in kayfabe and all this stuff. And then, boom, anything can happen on any given night.
Right.
And that night, Jeff Hardy was victorious. On that night, Eddie Guerrero was victorious. And so was Ray on his night as well. And even aside from that, Chris Benoit, I know we're not allowed to mention his name, but when Chris Benoit, that's the same night Eddie won too. And look what happened at the end of that. That was, if we're going to try and draw emotion out of people, we got to, Triple H and all of the writers, Bruce Pritchard and Hurricane Helms, they need to do better with this stuff. Whoever is producing this Jey Uso versus Gunther match needs, I don't know, they should probably call Jim Ross up and see what's up, or, or something.
They should have kept with what they were doing.
Yeah.
With Jey Uso. And, don't let him win every match that he goes into.
Right.
Like, leading up to this match, make him look like the underdog.
Yeah.
And they're not making him look like an underdog.
No, not at all. And, okay, so
or at least make it instead of a minute with Austin Theory, because Austin Theory, I mean, he had his time in the spotlight. Yep. Obviously, it was when Vince McMahon was there, and he thought, he was the United States champion, and Vince thought Austin was the new John Cena, and that whole storyline worked,
Yeah.
And Austin's no slouch. He knows what he's doing in the ring.
Right.
You can't put somebody like that against somebody like Jey Uso as a squash match.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
Right? Ain't they both the same size?
Yeah, around there.
And I do agree with your opinion wholeheartedly, dude, because after the match, Gunther comes from the commentary side of the ring and puts Jey in a sleeper, which Jey reverses. And they have this trade-off of punches. I don't know, but even that was awkward, bro. Even that was awkward because I'm not believing this story at all. In what world?
It does say here, and I'll credit the takedown on Sports Illustrated, because I was looking at this. The match for Jey Uso and Austin Theory, it was supposed to be, or it was spaced out for 11 minutes. And they don't know if Cena drawing out the opening of the show affected it one way or another. So if it got cut that way, like that much, just cut the whole match.
Either that or set up a disqualification.
Yep. Set up for Gunther comes out
Yeah.
and beats the hell out of Jay, or they just start going at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, if that's the case, and it got cut short because of John Cena, it is what it is. But I think they could have pivoted better.
A lot better. You're absolutely right on that. Yeah. So that beatdown was that made no sense to me whatsoever, because in what, like I was gonna say, in what world, like the way I think about like the product is, okay, in real life, could I actually see this happening if it wasn't a story and it was at an actual event? Could I see this possibly happening? And the answer is no for this. Gunther is double his size. I mean,
Which
come on.
you can say that because they're booking this as an underdog story, and
Yes.
I don't want Jay to win, but you've seen underdog stories and how they play out. We've seen
Yep.
it in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter on the size and stuff, obviously.
No. I'm
But
saying for like, could like in real life? You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh
could you
yeah,
see
in
this
real life,
happen, like actually happening in real life in a world where Jey Uso, first of all, slips out of Gunther's big ass arms and kicks his ass in total with just
right?
right hands? I couldn't see that happening. But that's just my opinion on it. In total, dude, my whole take on this is we could have done a lot better with this. Not starting with this feud, but starting with Jey Uso in that Intercontinental Championship run. That was what, a week, maybe less than that.
Yeah, less than that.
I mean, and then he turns around and yeah, of course it was a story for that War Games. I get that, but why couldn't he keep the belt through War Games? I think that would have sold that story a lot more, because after that he went on to SmackDown, and before he lost that SmackDown that he went over there and tried to talk to Solo, um, he pretty much stood his ground on that and said that he was the man. He was focusing on himself and everything else like that. We were
Yep.
actually starting to see Jey Uso pick up some steam and momentum, and then he goes over, loses the belt, even though his family was involved, loses the belt, and then goes teams with his cousin for one night only, and then we never hear about that ever again. His brother is wiped out of his life, and I'm sure at WrestleMania 41, when and if Jay wins that belt, which I hope he doesn't, we will see his family, like Jimmy Uso, be brought back into the story again. So none of this. What is up with all of these blank spaces here? That's what I'm confused on. But nonetheless, it looks like Jey Uso might walk out of Mania with that belt. The way that they're running this thing, and I don't. I'm afraid for the brand after WrestleMania if this goes this way, because a lot of people are upset. I don't know if you've seen the amount of dislikes like Jey Uso's YouTube videos on WWE have gotten when it comes to like him winning the Rumble and all this other things. Dude, it's like 61,000 to 21,000.
Well, people didn't. They want a hype guy, which Jey Uso is a hype guy. You need to have that, but I don't think
I think that they disagree.
he needs.
They're like us. They agree. They agree with us.
Yeah, I don't think we need him pushed into superstardom just yet.
Right.
Not saying that he's not a good singles competitor and all that, but I think we talked about this last episode. It's too soon.
Way too soon.
It's too soon, and he had a mediocre intercontinental title run. It's just I'm with you on the whole thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, another thing. I know, like we're going off track here, but what about Braun Breaker? Where does he lie in all of this too? I mean, yeah, he's the IC champion, but this Braun Breaker is really fucking super impressive in the ring for a guy his size, dude.
Oh yeah,
And I know in kayfabe size really doesn't really matter as much, but to see him do the things that shifting the fucking ring as he's hitting the ropes and what he did to Speed, that kind of stuff is believable. He builds that that oomph in him, dude. He builds his character very well, is what I'm saying with Braun Breaker.
Yep.
And with Jey Uso, it just seems like he's just getting a free ride.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, and speaking of Braun Breaker, he doesn't really have a storyline going into Mania, does he?
No. We'll get into that with the main event because I have that too. But okay, that's a really good segue. Next we have the American Made thing, and the commentary is selling the guy in the mask for American Made as Chad Gable, but I think it's not the goofy laugh guy, but the other one. The Creed brothers. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the Creed brothers.
Yeah, I mean,
it almost has to be.
I'm getting total Kurt Angle vibes from Chad Gable, and I love it because just like LA Knight with his gimmick, excuse me, I think that Chad Gable, who is also an amateur wrestler, is putting his own spin on it too. The crowd's buying into it. I like that, but they win American Made went against Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio of the LWO. Rey and Dragon Lee win, and then there was an attack backstage. I mean, not backstage, after the match, and then the rest of LWO came out, chased American Made off. Then we got the contract signing for the women's world heavyweight title, and another thing that I guess it didn't really irk me or irritate me. I'm starting to agree with you now when it comes to the Rhea Ripley thing because, again, just like we talked about with the Jey Uso thing, I feel like we're getting Rhea Ripley shoved down our throats now because of that contract signing, dude. First of all, it was your typical WWE contract signing. You knew there was going to be violence, but the way it ended was kind of weird because Rhea Ripley. Well, first, Io Sky comes and tries to she gets fed up with Bianca and Rhea arguing and doing their back and forth. So she went over to try and intervene. Bianca smokes her, and then Rhea and Bianca do their back and forth thing. Then Rhea Ripley picks up the contract for WrestleMania 41, which only has Belair and Sky's name on it, and took off with it. So I believe that we're getting a triple threat match for the world heavyweight title between
more than likely
Belair and Sky and Ripley. I'm just
more than likely. I didn't like how Belair kind of botched her spot on the table though, because that looked like it hurt Io
a lot, a lot.
Like she got almost folded in half.
Oh yeah, for sure she did, dude. But it seems like we're running out of things or not things, but we're running out of people to put in storylines or boost. We just talked about that in the last episode about pushing talent, newer talent, and stuff like that. Rhea Ripley, if they would have kept that belt on her, maybe this would have brought this feud would have made sense. But I really think that it really should just be Belair versus Sky, and then Rhea Ripley can get her lick back at WrestleMania Backlash. But I also said in the last episode that they're not going to leave somebody like Rhea Ripley, who is a draw right now, out of WrestleMania at all.
Oh, probably not. No, I just don't like how they're doing it. And like you said, you agree with me on how they're just throwing Rhea Ripley down our throats. And she needs something new. I'm going to keep saying it until she gets something new.
Yeah.
It's just getting old. It's not like, oh, you just brought up Chad Gable. It's not like Chad Gable's gimmick. His gimmick is good. It's him, and he plays it really well. And he is Kurt Angle of old, which is fine with me. Is completely fine with me because he plays the part well, and they don't shove it down our throats.
Right.
And it's just I get it. It's probably a big moneymaker for WWE because Rhea sells a lot of merch and everything else. It just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just getting bored with it. I'm getting bored with the storyline, And hopefully, with what we saw with the Intercontinental Championship, you know, with Braun Breaker and Finn Balor, maybe the Judgment Day is finally gonna crack.
Right, right. And I'm glad that you brought that up, actually, because just last week I talked about how titles really don't mean anything anymore. And this match between Breaker and Finn Balor, um, dude, that was actually pretty good. I mean, they gave Finn the floor in this, and yeah, I was really impressed. When the notes that I got on it, the great match. Judgment Day is gonna get split. I know that for certain now. And that's because they cost Finn Balor this match.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you seen Dominic. I think that was more intention than it was to help Finn. And I see it. The Judgment Day ending finally. It's ran its course.
Yeah, it has. They have no true leader. I mean, Finn Balor is the leader of the Judgment Day at this point in the run. But yeah, like you said, man, it's ran its course. Who knows where Liv Morgan is at this point? Where she's gonna go in the storyline. And I need something new for her too. I need her and Dominic to split because she doesn't need a whole freaking goon of people. She's got Raquel. Raquel
Yep.
is her safety net as the heel, and I'm all right with it.
Oh yeah.
Dominic has enough heat that he can go off on his own singles run, and now you're adding more to the pot because Dominic he's a draw as well. Merch and eyeballs that are on him, he puts asses in seats. And speaking of Dominic, dude, that guy, that's going back to the Jey Uso thing. I could see Dominic being a really good IC title holder. Really good.
Oh, yeah, or the United States title, either one.
I mean, he was cheated out of that North American Championship when he first joined the Judgment Day. But I still will die on that hill of Dominic Mysterio being a really good IC or United States champion holder. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I just hope it's not anytime soon because I'm enjoying LA Knight's run. We'll have to see how that goes because that goes on tonight with Braun Strowman, don't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Braun Strowman versus him for the U.S. title.
Yeah.
Which I am assuming, the Fatus are going to get involved there.
Yeah, for sure.
I would assume. But we'll stick with Raw for now. And we were talking about Braun Breaker and Finn. And you wanted to bring up who his next opponent and next storyline is going to be, and I'm betting it's going to be Penta.
Yeah.
You think Penta Breaker at WrestleMania for the title?
I'm going to be honest because I am. It's no secret that I'm a Penta fan. Like going back to what you said earlier about being too soon for Dominic, I really do think it's too soon to be talking about Penta going against Braun Breaker at WrestleMania 41 for the IC belt. It's probably going to happen, though, because that's what they're selling it as. I mean, the Motor City Machine Guns, I know it's a completely different division, but the Motor City Machine Guns come in, second week in and win the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships. They lost it a week or two after, but nonetheless, they still did it after debuting a week earlier. So, if it does happen for Penta, congratulations to him. He's worked all over the fucking world, and he deserves this. But as a fan, I need other people because if you didn't watch AEW or Lucha Underground or any other place that he's been, you really don't know who he is. We're just now starting to figure out who he is, and
right.
with Ray Phoenix coming into the picture on SmackDown, we're finding out a lot and learning a lot about both of these guys. Well, Phoenix hasn't really been on TV yet, but for Penta though, I really need to see a lot more from him. in
Oh
total
yeah,
matches, promos, segments, all of that. I don't mean I'm a fan of them, but I just think that the mainstream audience isn't really well known or well adjusted to them or whatever or however you want to put it, man. I think it's just gonna be too soon. The both of them though, if it does happen, when it happens, I should say,
that's gonna be a
it
banger.
is, dude. These guys are gonna tear the fucking house down.
Yeah, I
Um,
could see that being the top match of the night. Honest.
would you put this match night one? Would you put this match as the main event instead of the Jey Uso and Gunther match?
No, I don't think so. Mostly because then you're downgrading the World Heavyweight Championship,
Don't
which
you
I
think
think
that
they're having a.
I thought you were gonna say just the same thing as I was just about to say. And go ahead, go ahead.
And they're just. I think they're having a hard time getting traction on the World Heavyweight Championship because it's been so long since the two brands have had their own titles, and everything's about Cody Rhodes right now and the Undisputed Championship and
Yeah,
all this other stuff, and Gunther, yes, he's the World Heavyweight Champion, but he's not getting. I don't think he's getting the traction that he should
no,
as a main title holder.
no, and
It's not like it was back in the early 2000s.
right, right.
Even before they unified the championships again. Raw had either or champion, and they both had the same amount of following, the same amount of hype, and I just don't think the World Heavyweight Championship is getting that hype right now. And if they don't put that as a main event night one, it's downgrading it, and it's just going to lose more traction.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think that WWE is actually kind of like kicking themselves in the ass at this point because of, the stat card that's already WrestleMania and it's not even fully announced. Um,
hmm I mean, they're gonna have. I mean, we assume it's gonna be Penta and Breaker for the title,
yeah.
and then you have the women's world heavyweight title.
I don't think
That's
that opens or shuts down the show of night one.
the women's.
I think at best, with Rhea Ripley, if she's in it, well, we know she's going to be in it. Um, that should open up night two. That's how they're going to
Yeah,
do it. They're going to open up night two
yeah.
with that match, and the
I think the IC title should open up night one.
that's
Though
what I was just going to say. Yeah,
that's gonna be a banger, and it's gonna set the bar for the rest of the show.
right. Because this Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair thing, that's not really on a lot of people's radar, I would say, unless you're a really big fan of the two. I mean, I like them
I
both, but I'm not really that pumped about it. I don't know about you.
I enjoy Tiffany Stratton.
Oh, I do
I
too. But
I like the character that she plays, and I've never really been a big fan of Charlotte Flair. I I mean I liked her, but it wasn't like, you know, whoa all the time. And that kind of got a little stale too. We talked last episode on how there was a point in time where the championship in the men's division would just bounce between Orton and Edge and John Cena and then back to Orton and then back to John, or it was the main three or four guys that were always the champion.
right.
And it seemed like when Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch and Bayley and uh you can even put Paige in that
Oh,
because she was around when Charlotte and them were around.
I thought you were
It,
gonna mention the biggest fucking, the biggest idiot of them all, Sasha Banks.
well, that too. That championship bounced like crazy before they split it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
no
back
doubt.
then it bounced around like crazy. It was, Charlotte or Becky Lynch, and then back to Charlotte, and then back to Becky, and then back to Bayley. They couldn't stick with one champion.
Nah.
And that's where I kind of got stale on the women's division. Now that they have it split, and honestly, I think that the problem that they're having with the men's world heavyweight championship, I don't think they're having that problem with the women's world heavyweight championship. I think they're having that problem with the women's WWE
Oh
championship.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And
It-
I actually I'm glad that you bring this up because I feel like I feel that way about the WWE Universal title right now too. Why are we putting Cody Rhodes? Why is Cody Rhodes showing up on Raw when his main show is SmackDown? You
right,
bring up the point of how things were in the past, and in the past you had the World Heavyweight Champion, which was usually Triple H, and on the SmackDown side of things, it was John Cena or JBL, and they
right.
stayed over the way they were. I know we brought this up the last time, like you said, but they stayed over on their respective brands. I said this from the jump. Cody Rhodes should not be on Raw at all.
No,
If you
no.
want eyeballs on the product, create new stars. You have good stars: Braun Breaker,
Yep.
Gunther. Um, you could throw Uso in there. The guy who puts asses in seats. The list goes on. Now Penta. Ilya Dragunov is in there somewhere. And then on SmackDown, you don't really see that. You just
No.
don't. LA Knight, who is your current U.S. champion, you haven't really built up Carmelo Hayes. That guy's a stud, former NXT champion. Who else is, Shinsuke? Maybe Styles is on Raw.
Yeah, Styles is on Raw. It seems like all the bigger stars are on Raw.
Yeah.
And and that's how it used to be too.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it was like that back in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it definitely was.
SmackDown was the definite number 2 show.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then it started picking up more traction when when it came to like Survivor Series and it was Raw versus SmackDown, and
yeah.
and you would get, and then the draft, and it was always exciting. It's not very exciting when like, well, here comes Cody Rhodes over to Raw.
Exactly.
And he's taking Gunther's fucking steam.
Right. So yeah, dude, you bring up the point of the World Heavyweight Championship not meaning much, and you're absolutely right. And that's because of their own, downfall. They're booking Cody Rhodes on a show that he doesn't even belong on in the first place, and they did that before WrestleMania 40 last year too. It's been for a year straight now. That's what we see. But we don't really see Gunther on SmackDown. So if we're gonna do that,
he was over there once maybe.
Yeah, and I think that was during the build up to the Rumble. But so I really think that Penta is going to get his shot at the IC belt. My opinion on it is maybe too soon. I would like him to gain more traction. But let's go.
We can move on. I just want to make this one point. I agree with you that Penta needs more matches. Yeah, he's beaten Ludwig Kaiser. A lot of people have beaten Ludwig Kaiser.
Right.
He's beaten Pete Dunne. A lot of people have beaten Pete Dunne. He's got to beat better people.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of him being in the championship match. I do. I agree. Yeah,
right.
He's going to lose.
Okay,
he's going to lose.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that we're on the same page, because if we're going to do this, at his first WrestleMania moment, it shouldn't be a win.
No. He definitely loses.
Okay.
I completely agree with that, but I like him getting this little bit of a push, just this little bit.
Yeah,
absolutely. Get him more screen time. Get him this big pop, because it's going to be a big pop at WrestleMania.
Oh,
He's going to come out with all these pyrotechnics and everything else.
Yes, for sure.
So it's going to be a huge, major pop for him, and I think then more people will pay attention to Penta, and then he will get more matches. He will get better quality matches. Not saying that him and Ludwig didn't tear down the house.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Not saying that him and Pete Dunne didn't do well, because their matches were good too.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. Nonetheless. Yeah.
I agree everything with what you said.
Right. So just a quick rundown of the WrestleMania 41 card real quick, and then after that, Zack has some a moment he wants to share over on the AEW side of things, and then we'll get into the NFL. So far the main card is Rhodes versus Cena for the WWE title, Stratton versus Flair for the WWE Women's title, Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World title, Rhea Ripley, because she did sign the contract on there, Io Sky, Bianca Belair for the Women's World title, and then some prediction matches I got. Reigns, Rollins versus Punk in a triple threat. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, which I really like. And then this one, this came out of nowhere for me, and this really does make sense, and it's because I've been like peeking at SmackDown a little bit. But Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu, and then we'll touch back on that because I would like to see your short response on that. And then I got the obvious one, Naomi versus Jade Cargill, and then another one out of left field, Alexa Bliss versus Liv Morgan. But the Wyatt Six are on one side and possibly the Judgment Day on the other, with Finn Balor losing the IC title match. I would really like to see the Wyatt Six go over and them being the one to end the Judgment Day once and for all.
Yeah, I believe that would happen if that's what happens. If that's a match that's going to happen, I believe Alexa Bliss wins and the Wyatt Six move, get over on the Judgment Day.
And I like that because it gives us a build. It gives Judgment Day something to do at WrestleMania, and we finally get some closure to that part of the story of Judgment Day.
Yep.
And then hopefully we get on with these single competitor and Carlito bounces. Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa. What do you think?
I like it. I like this implosion of the bloodline because I've told you.
Yep.
And the people that listen to our podcast know my opinion on the bloodline, because I hated Roman Reigns' run. Is the same thing with what we have going on with Rhea Ripley. It was shoved down our throats for 3 years. I got tired of it, and I quit watching.
Yeah.
I honestly quit watching Raw and SmackDown, both. Yeah, I would watch the pay-per-views, because I wanted to see the other matches.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I wasn't excited for the Roman Reigns matches because I knew it was going to happen. It was predictable. And I am enjoying this implosion of the bloodline.
A lot of people are. And real quick on that, WrestleMania 39 should have resulted in the end of the bloodline. But Vince had his final say in that, and we know how that goes. Some news on the Wyatt Six, though, to end the WWE segment, and then we'll get into the other things. Dave Meltzer had pointed out that Alexa Bliss will not be on TV until the Wyatt Six come back. And over at Fightful, they have said that Bo Dallas was the one that was injured within the group, but all of the Wyatt Six are now medically cleared to compete. So I'm assuming that we're going to see a little speed run, maybe not do so many fucking QR codes and stuff anymore. I mean, you're talking, you just mentioned what had happened with the bloodline, and I'm a big Wyatt Six fan. I love that they're carrying on Bray Wyatt's legacy. I know some people have their opinions on it, and it differs from mine, but I like this idea because of, Taylor Rotunda is using Kyle Scarborough and Jason. I forget his last name, but Jason, who created the Fiend's attire and mask and stuff like that for Bray Wyatt. He's working with these same people, these great minds that, the same one that inspired Bray Wyatt to do the things that he did and helped him create the character that he did in the Fiend and, Uncle Howdy and all of this stuff.
I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
I don't understand the people that are getting mad about this. It's just building up Bray Wyatt's legacy.
It is.
And why wouldn't you want that?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't understand it. I've been a big Bray Wyatt fan. I was a fan through every stage of his career.
Absolutely.
I even liked him as Husky Harris.
I did too when he
was in the Nexus.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he played that well, and he with the deck of cards that he was given, he made the most of it. The guy will go down. I mean, if he's not inducted in the Hall of Fame this year, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I mean, because we got Triple H. It has to be him. So far it's a stacked Hall of Fame card. I really like that. But yeah, I don't understand it either. I think that once they do that, we're not going to get as many, vignettes and promo codes and stuff like that. I think that we do a few and then we skip right to the point. But yeah, that's a WWE thing, and I know that you had an AEW experience since we last have spoken. So why don't you go into that real quick?
Yeah, just real quick, and if the editor, wink, wink, Jordan, is able to put up a clip of this later, and viewer discretion advised, because it is gnarly.
He's positioned. Oh my God! You got to be kidding me! Stuck in his back. Pull it out of his back. Oh, look at that! Pull that friggin' thing out of his back. Holy smokes! I've seen it all now. He needs a tetanus shot. Stat. It's stuck. This is disgusting.
Jon Moxley and Edge had a banger of a match on AEW, and I am not an AEW watcher. I don't enjoy AEW. But when I saw this clip, I had to watch the whole match, and it was something to see. And the spot that I want to talk about is when Edge took that board of nails or spikes or whatever it was, and he rammed it into Moxley's back. And they zoom in on this. You see them tugging it out. Like, it's stuck in his skin. Like, you don't see that. And I commend them too for that spot, and Jon Moxley for even taking it,
Yeah.
And I believe back in his indie wrestling career, he was an Extreme Pro Wrestler, wasn't he? He was in like those. He was in those death matches. Yeah, he was in those death matches. So it's not really something new for him, but you haven't seen that on television,
especially
like
something
that.
like that.
Right. So that just really caught my attention.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I seen that, I too, like Zack, watched the whole clip, and I thought that thing was gruesome, because those things, like when he took that suplex through that piece of board with those spikes in it, dude. At first, the build up to it, I really thought that after he got smacked with it, like. That was it. They were just going to use it as like a ball bat or kendo stick or something like that. I never expected them to like do anything like grappling like that on that.
No.
That could have went wrong. I really enjoyed that, and I share the same opinion as you when it comes to showing respect to both Edge and Mox on that. That could have gone so many different ways, though.
It could have went south. And I think the only way you can do a spot like that is if you have a veteran like Adam Copeland, and a veteran like Jon Moxley, that know what they're doing and trust each other.
Yeah, dude. So that was I'm glad that it was those two, but I hope that nobody else, tries that, because like I said, it could have gone wrong in a split second. And it hadn't not been the two of them, and it been somebody else, not like that. I don't know, man.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen when you use real weapons. I mean, not a lot. Not that in wrestling a lot of weapons ain't real, but a lot of them are
gimmicked.
Yes, like tables are cracked so that they split easier. The ladders are made of wood and aluminum so that they break easier. Steel chairs, I would assume still hurt.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's not really a way you can fake a steel chair, and then the fake barbed wire and stuff like that, which there are matches where people use real barbed wire. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, for example, they used real barbed wire.
That was crazy.
You just don't see that very often, and I just wanted to bring it up because
that whole thing was crazy.
It was a big moment. So we went a little long on WWE like we usually do because there's so much that we can bullshit and fuck around about. So there's a couple stories, or not stories, a couple things that happened in the WWE. Yeah, see, my brain's scrambled with that. In the NFL, dude. In the NFL today. So let's talk about a few of these. we don't have a lot of time left, but
Right.
we're gonna try to get as much as we can.
So
I want to start with Jameis Winston on a 2-year deal to the Giants.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I think that well, congrats to Jameis because I was riding along with him when he was doing the whole media tour and fucking around with these players and coaches on, hey, where do you think I should sign at? Hey, where do you think I should sign at? And I think that really helped him out. I don't know, man. Does he can play really well. Jameis is.
I'm not
he can
taking
hold
away
it
his
down,
talent,
but
he's
for a
good.
second string.
I think he starts in New York, though. Regardless if they take a quarterback.
I don't think they are taking a quarterback. I think they're going Abdul Carter.
If they do that, then Jameis Winston definitely starts.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I think Cam Ward goes 1. Travis Hunter 2. Abdul Carter 3. And then Tat McMillan at 4 for the Patriots. I think that's the way it goes. I think Shedeur Sanders drops, but nonetheless, congratulations to Jameis Winston on securing that bag, and let's see what I mean, dude, not gonna lie, like Malik Neighbors is a hell of a wide receiver up there. So
he is. He is. But
Jameis
he had wide receivers in Cleveland too. Jameis Winston, like you said, he's a good second string quarterback. I mean, you can't take anything away from Amari Cooper.
Right.
He had Amari on that side. I think he had one other guy that was pretty decent.
I don't know. I think he just had David Njoku and
Njoku, who's a good tight end.
Yeah,
he's a solid tight end.
Amari Cooper, and I think no, he didn't have Juice Landry. Juice Landry went down to Miami.
Yep.
But yeah, so I'm happy for him. Yeah, maybe he could do some work in New York. I know you would rather he not because it's in the NFC East. Speaking of those quarterbacks, though, Aaron Rodgers, he met with the Steelers, but they are there's no deal on the table yet.
Not yet, no. And if I know Aaron Rodgers can still retire, he's got time, to make up his mind, and I hope he does. But if the Steelers take Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, it's a tank season, and it ruins
Mike
Tomlin's record of winning seasons. Not that his winning seasons have been all that great, but I think they tank.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that, dude, because
and you can't even say that Aaron Rodgers would do good because they got DK Metcalf now, and they've had what's the other one? The other hothead they have over there,
George Pickens. Yeah, George Pickens.
You can't say that he has a great number 1 and number 2 because he had a great number 1 and number 2 in New York. So I don't know, and I'm glad. I will be overjoyed if the Steelers take Aaron because I hate the Steelers.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, it's hard to argue that point because I said this in past episodes. Look what he did in New York. He didn't really do anything there. So
yep.
I mean, his best hope was to go to Minnesota. If he ever wanted to, because dude, why are we hyping this team up? Yeah, DK Metcalf is really good. Okay, George Pickens, he's good too. And then Muth, rocking that tight end position.
Muth.
Yeah.
I do like him. I do like him.
I just don't see. I'm not following the fucking hype here, dude.
The Steelers always have hype, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of those franchises, just like the Cowboys, just like the Patriots, and the Packers, and the 49ers, and the only difference is the 49ers have star-studded players, and they're sort of relevant now.
Well, I don't think
the Cowboys are really good at in regular season, and they made the playoffs too. The Patriots ain't doing shit. The Steelers ain't doing shit. I just don't like this for Aaron Rodgers. I think that he should just ride off into the sunset here.
Yeah, he should hang it up.
Yeah, dude.
If he has hopes of winning the championship, it ain't happening.
Yeah.
Not with what the level of play that he's putting out.
And the reason why I sound so negative here about this is as I like Aaron Rodgers. I'm a fan of him. I think that this kind of diminishes. We start to diminish the Aaron Rodgers legacy because it's like, dude, you could have just, for one, retired in Green Bay, because if we knew that all this was going to happen in New York, nobody would have signed up for this. Nobody would have. You know.
No,
we all would have told him to retire in Green Bay.
Yep, I agree with you that it's ruining his legacy, but I really dislike Aaron Rodgers just because he always had the Cowboys' number. It didn't matter how good the Cowboys were. Aaron Rodgers was the fucking Cowboy killer. Yeah. It didn't fucking matter.
Dude, he discount double check in that fucking end zone. It was over.
Oh, he definitely was all the time.
Hell yeah.
And I never understood it. I never understood how Aaron Rodgers just knew how to beat the Cowboys. It baffled me.
Yeah, dude, and he's got some of the best 2-minute football, that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. He had a Hail Mary in a playoff game, right?
Yeah.
And then that won the game, and then he had another Hail Mary against was it the Bears?
Yep.
That was just a regular season game, but you don't see a quarterback throw Hail Marys for touchdowns to win the game.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of that's on your receiver at that point.
Yeah.
But a lot of credit goes to Aaron Rodgers for being able to make that bomb throw. Yeah. Which, if you asked him to do that now, I don't think he'd be able to do it.
I think he only had one of those plays in New York, just one out of the 2 years he's been there. Well, you can't really count the first year because the ACL.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but the second year I think he did have. Last year I think he did have one. You'll have to fact check me on that, but I'm sure he did. But that's neither here nor there because I agree with you. We're getting, like I said, we're getting to the point where, okay, now we're on the decline of Aaron Rodgers' career. This guy's a 2-time NFL MVP, Super Bowl champion.
I would assume a future Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. First ballot, nonetheless. First ballot for Aaron Rodgers. But, with him continuing this way, like I said, dude, Minnesota would have been the perfect fit, Zach. The perfect fit. Justin Jefferson, the defense is on point. Mike Zimmer, right? Mike Zimmerman's the head coach down there, yeah? Great.
No. Mike Zimmer was just the defensive coach for the Cowboys last year. I don't know where.
Who is down there? Do you know?
Who's in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think his name is Kyle. It's Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah. And by the way, he has proven his point. Down there in Minnesota, he's done really well. And I like I said, Aaron Rodgers should have just went there. JJ McCarthy, he could have sat underneath Aaron Rodgers. They would have went to the playoffs as a true contender to Philadelphia.
Yep.
Because like I said, he's the best in 2-minute football. You can't beat him in 2 minutes. The Hail Marys, the quick plays, the no huddles, everything about AR-12 here screams Minnesota, and I just don't understand why even go and visit Pittsburgh at this point. I would have went to Minnesota.
I think Aaron Rodgers thinks he's a hot commodity still, and he's not. If he was that hot of a commodity, the Giants, the Titans, I'm just trying to think of other teams that need quarterbacks, the Seahawks, the Cardinals at that point, everybody would have been beating down his door.
Yep.
And nobody was. You saw some murmurs here and there that he was going to talk to the Vikings or he was going to talk to Pittsburgh or, but that was it. There was nobody beating down that door to talk to Aaron Rodgers. And I think these teams know you can't rely on a 42-year-old quarterback that is
value.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because he's a pocket passer. He's not as mobile as he used to be, especially after the ACL tear. So,
yeah, no,
it's
I
a
agree.
different league now. It's a different league. You can't have a pocket passer like that can't scramble.
Yeah.
You know, you just go back to even, back when he was in Green Bay. Back then, it still wasn't a pocket passer game, but these guys knew how to evade the tackles. They knew how to scramble. Aaron Rodgers was one of the best. Tony Romo, one of the best at scrambling, being a pocket passer. Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep.
He was a big tank, but he could still move and avoid tackles. And he can't do it anymore. So I don't know. I wish the best for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And I just hope he figures out what he wants to do, and I just wish he retires and just let it rest.
No, like I said, I agree with you 100%. Speaking of old quarterbacks that need a home, Russell Wilson, are you surprised that nobody has signed him yet?
No.
I'm not either, to be honest.
No, I mean, his numbers weren't that great last year.
Nope, and neither were they in Denver.
No, they weren't very good in Denver. I see him retiring too. If he doesn't, I would assume. Yeah. I would assume if he doesn't get picked up, by the beginning of the season, I think he retires.
Who do you think takes him? I could see him going to Indy. I mean, I know there's a QB battle down there in Indianapolis between Anthony Richardson and your boy Danny Dimes. But I mean, that's a good spot. I mean, he could go to the Giants.
I think anybody that needs a second string quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all he is. What's that?
Could he go back to Pittsburgh?
Could Pittsburgh re-sign him?
Yeah.
Of course they could, because they just traded their best chance at quarterback to the Jets.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't understand the hate on Justin Fields.
I don't either.
But hey, whatever the Steelers want to do is up to them. And speaking of the Steelers, did you see what Najee Harris said?
No, I didn't.
About them?
No.
He is quoted saying that he had no idea what he was doing in Pittsburgh. There was no leadership, and nobody knew who was the leader.
Okay, so this brings up my next question then. You think Mike Tomlin should retire?
I think Mike Tomlin should move to a different team. He's too young to retire.
I say the reason why I say it is because the guy, he's had a really good career.
He's had a very good career. He's been a very good head coach.
And if he's lost his juice in Pittsburgh, okay, he could go down to college too. I think he would do really well down there. If he decides to go elsewhere. I mean, he could go to Tennessee.
I don't think he goes to college. He needs to stay in the NFL because he's a good NFL coach.
He's developed a lot of players, really good players.
He's a very good defensive-minded player too.
He is.
And for some odd reason, he has an eye for picking wide receivers.
Really good ones.
Pittsburgh always has good wide receivers. They always find ones in the draft that are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And look at, just recently, Pickens.
Yeah.
Pickens is great. Antonio Brown, Santonio Holmes, Hines Ward. He was
Hines
there
Ward
before him.
He
was there before him. But, there's some other ones, too, that I'm probably missing. Plexico Burress, which he was kind of older, but he still played really well for the Steelers.
Yeah, and even on the defensive side of the ball, people like T.J. Watt.
Which I'm upset about that. I'll be upset about that until the day I die. That the Cowboys did not take T.J. Watt.
Knowing who his brother was, too. That is insane.
Well, then they take Taco Charlton. Who the fuck is Taco Charlton? Let's take Taco Charlton. Yeah. An edge rusher that didn't do shit and still isn't doing shit. When you could have had TJ fucking Watt.
Yeah. Yeah.
That chaps my fucking ass every time I talk about it. But back to the Mike Tomlin thing.
I could see a point in that. I could really see, that's a strong argument, and just like it is, for him to go down to college. Pittsburgh is on a downfall here, just like I said about Aaron Rodgers. I don't see a turnaround here. Even if like Zack and I said, even if they pick up Aaron Rodgers. There's no turnaround there. I mean,
No.
you got DK
I
Metcalf is a
think
great one. George Pickens is a great one. Muth is really good, but they don't have Najee Harris no more. They got T.J. Watt, who I'm sure is going to be looking for a new home here if things don't turn out and they don't pay him well. Mike Tomlin should just get out while he can, while there's still some value to him.
And even if they tank this year, say they tank this year, and Mike Tomlin, they don't, he leaves. I don't know what his contract looks like. I think maybe this is his last year. Maybe they don't extend him, but he'll be a great head coach on any team he goes to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's me saying that. It's me saying that because I hate Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin. I'm not a big fan of Mike Tomlin, but he's a great coach, and you can't take nothing away from him for that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no doubt, dude. No doubt. But Milton Williams, he was quoted saying that he chose the Patriots over the Panthers because the Patriots wanted him and wanted him the most and treated him as a priority. And that just brings me to this question, dude, is what is going on in Carolina? They got a really good quarterback in Bryce Young. You just need to surround him with a good offensive line, so, a few good receivers, and build that defense up. Why wouldn't you take a Super Bowl champion? This guy is coming off of a Super Bowl win against, some say a dynasty, others say a toilet bowl team. The Chiefs are good, though. The Chiefs are the best, right now it's the Eagles because of the reigning champs, but the Chiefs we have seen them the most since Tom Brady's departure from the league. If I'm Carolina, dude, I really have to address this offensive line first. Maybe get a good weapon, a decent weapon for Bryce Young to see how well it turns out. But for the most part, build that defense. Because when Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane left Carolina, that defense, Luke Kuechly, Josh Norman, those names like that, dude, that team really needs to get its shit together. And I think they really missed out on Milton Williams. And I'm not just saying that because I like the Pats, but Milton Williams has shown out and has proved himself in this league. And I think that the Panthers missed out, dude.
Oh, they definitely did. The Panthers, that organization, it must be something with the Khan family.
Yeah.
Or no, Khan is Jaguars.
Yeah, Jacksonville.
But they're in the same boat. Jacksonville's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But the Panthers need to do a lot of work. I mean, they're not going to find it in the draft right now. They're just going to get a couple pieces maybe to help. I think this team doesn't get any good for at least 3 years.
Yeah, they've shown no hope.
No hope for the Carolina Panthers. No.
And that's sad, dude. That's really sad.
Oh, it definitely is.
Fuck.
It definitely is. They went from a Super Bowl potentially winning team to nothing in 10 years.
Exactly, dude.
But there's a lot of teams like that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I want to ask you, move on from the shit. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. What do you think of their contract signings? You happy for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
they deserve it. They deserved it.
Didn't T. Higgins get tagged though?
He got tagged, but he signed.
Oh.
They both signed 4-year deals. Chase is getting $161 million. Higgins is $115 million.
Good for them. And Joe Burrow definitely deserves it. The guy is a stud.
Yep.
They have
nobody on defense though. I think that's the Bengals.
Yeah, because didn't what's his name? That edge rusher.
Yeah, he retired.
Yeah. So they really do need to build that defense. I hope that it's not another Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers thing where, we get all these really good pieces to the puzzle on offense and we forget about defense because the Bengals, they have something here. They have something very special here. And
definitely.
if taken care of properly, this could be a Super Bowl winning team, dude.
No, they proved that they could make it to the Super Bowl.
They done it.
They did it, So I think hopefully they kind of make more moves on defense. I'm sure, I don't know where they're at in the draft, but I'm sure they can find a stud in the first round.
Oh, absolutely.
And speaking of wide receivers, move on from the Bengals. Cooper Kupp, would you have paid $45 million for
Absolutely
Cooper Kupp?
not. Absolutely not. Though, he's coming off of the Triple Crown and stuff like that. I'm still not. When there was talk about the Patriots potentially, bidding on him, I was hoping that they could have got him for a low price. I think he's a really good talent at wide receiver. I just think that we're coming down on Cooper Kupp here. He's getting older. Wasn't he injured last year as well?
I believe so.
Right. So he's coming off an injury, and with age and injuries, it really usually doesn't really play off well. And I'm glad that New England had passed on him, because the last thing that a team that's rebuilding needs is an old player that we're taking a high chance on based on name value, and we get nothing out of it. And then then you're screwed because you're sitting on a dud that nobody wants.
Yep.
So,
and I do think I agree with you. I think the Seahawks made a mistake.
Yeah, I think
not by signing him, but for giving him a 3-year deal worth $45 million.
Oh yeah. Because you could use him just as name value. That's what the Bills did with Von Miller.
Yep.
But they don't even have a quarterback in Seattle yet, do they? Like
a
for sure starter?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, so I would have threw some cash at one of the. Well, no, they got Sam Darnold, don't they?
Oh yeah. They signed Sam.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So yeah, if they give it all depends. It all depends on Cooper Kupp here.
Yep.
This is make or break for him.
I don't think Cooper Kupp's a good DK replacement, or even a Tyler Lockett replacement.
No, that was their first mistake. I mean, DK, okay, but Tyler Lockett, he's a big-time producer for that Seattle Seahawks offense, dude. That's a huge mistake of getting rid of him.
Yep. So we're gonna come to the end of the cast here.
Yeah.
I do want to move on to one more thing though, and you were getting pretty heated about it before the cast started. I just want to get your quick reaction on video. And we're talking about wide receivers. We're talking about kind of older wide receivers.
Oh yeah.
Stephon Diggs visiting the Patriots. You're a Patriots fan, and just real quick, I want your reaction to this.
Dude, first of all, when I first seen this news on Twitter, I almost had a fucking heart attack. I seen what he did in Buffalo. That was shit. He was a crybaby in Minnesota, and that was shit. He had a really good start to his career. And he's one of those players. He was one of those players that can make a difference. I mean, he did well when he was playing in Houston, but just like I said about Cooper Kupp, we're on the downside. But for Stephon, we're almost towards retirement for this guy. He's coming off of a huge injury, and the off the field antics I'm not a fan of, dude. Like I said, this team is rebuilding. The last thing we need is some fucking crybaby who's potentially going to ruin the morale of your young starting quarterback. I just don't think that's the way to fucking go. And then we get into the financial side of things. Who knows what this lunatic wants for money?
Oh, I'm sure it's a bunch.
Yeah, and yes, the Patriots have a lot of money. I don't see a big upside value in Stephon Diggs whatsoever.
No, I don't either, and it's kind of like the OBJ situation.
Very much so.
OBJ was a good wide receiver, but he was older. He didn't want to quit playing, and then teams that did take him, they paid a lot of money for a prove it year, basically contract, and he did nothing. He did nothing in Baltimore. He signed another prove-it contract with
the Dolphins.
Was he with? Yeah, he was with the Dolphins for a year and did nothing.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what's going to happen to Stephon Diggs, because he didn't do anything for the Texans last year. He was hurt.
Yep.
He had 64 targets, 47 receptions, 496 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I don't know how many games that is. I don't have the
It
stat
doesn't.
here right now, but
Oh.
I forget how many games he missed and how many he played. But even so, that's still not good numbers.
Yeah, I think he got injured during the middle of the season, so he didn't play the rest of the season. I think
Well,
it
still
was
for half the year, he should have more than that.
yeah,
In
3
yards.
touchdowns. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Look, I nothing pisses me off more than that if the New England Patriots take him. Because you have the 4th overall pick. You know that if Travis Hunter isn't available, you're going for Ted McMillan. That's the
Yep.
plan. And Ted McMillan,
Yep.
he is a day 1 starter for New England. If he comes in, he could easily, it goes Drake May and then Antonio Gibson because Ramondre can't hang. You know, you have Austin Hooper at tight end 2, Hunter Henry at tight end 1, wide receiver Ted McMillan at number 1, and Pop Douglas at 2. Or, Jalen Polk, we took him last year. He didn't really show out like everybody thought he was going to do, but I know for a fact that Ted McMillan will, prove his worth in New England year 1. It won't be like, I'm not expecting this like star-studded season from him, but if that's the way the Patriots go, Ted McMillan 1, Pop Douglas 2. That's the way it should go. Stephon can go to the NFC. And maybe he goes signs with his brother, you know?
Yeah. I tell you what though, I understand what you're saying about Stephon Diggs. The only thing I could see that would work, that would be beneficial to the Patriots and Drake May, is to have that veteran wide receiver. You know, I think that kind of helps develop a quarterback a little bit. I mean, maybe not one that's like Stephon Diggs with his antics and whatnot, but maybe it could be a good thing. You know,
It could
that's
be.
how I see it.
And Vrabel is the type of coach that isn't going to let that shit happen. So I'm assuming that during that conversation that was addressed, and I haven't seen anything other than that. Him meeting with the Patriots. So
No,
I'm
I
hoping
haven't
that
seen
it's
it.
one of those deals that where if we did pick him up, he'd be a great help in developing Ted McMillan or Travis Hunter, whoever they draft. I just don't. And then there's the thing that he played in the AFC East before, so there's going to be some drama built around those 2 games, and
Yep.
Buffalo. I just don't like this for him. Send him to Send him to Baltimore. That's where all those old receivers like to be.
That's
Send
where
him
they all
there.
go to die. That's the
Yeah.
wide receiver graveyard.
Yeah, because if he goes to Dallas, it's going to be a showdown between him and CD off the field, and that's the last thing that Dallas needs.
Oh, probably. Dallas is tanking this year too.
Yeah, so Jerry Jones is all in. You know this.
Oh yeah, Jerry Jones is all in.
So hypothetically, say Stephon were to go to Dallas, signs with Dallas. How do you see that playing out?
I see just what Stefan's been doing, crying, because CD's going to get all the targets because him and Dak have chemistry. Him and Dak have been playing together for.
CD's the better player.
And CD is the better player, mostly because he's younger, but he's crisper on his routes. He gets open more. I mean, Stephon Diggs could help maybe some, but I think he'd be a solid 2 or 3 wide receiver. There's no way he'd be the number 1. No way he would take over CD's spot.
No chance in hell does he ever go into
No.
Dallas and take that wide receiver 1 position. I mean,
No.
and then on another side too, you got the stats. On paper he didn't do well at all, and
No.
granted he did get injured, but like you said, dude, he should have produced a lot more. Especially because Tank Dell is a fantastic wide receiver.
Yeah, Tank got hurt too.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was a brutal injury. I feel for him. Godspeed to Tank Dell, but when it was Tank Dell on one side of the ball and Stephon Diggs on the other side, one of those two, had to make a difference. And everybody thought it was going to be Stephon, but it was actually Tank Dell who made the biggest difference in Houston. And I mean, yeah, like you make a great point of him bringing that veteran atmosphere to the wide receiver room. But I'm not going to take a chance. I feel like Cooper Kupp is the better receiver out of the two. And if they didn't take Cooper, I don't see them taking Stephon either. It was
there's also Amari Cooper that still hasn't been signed. So I mean,
I thought he was going to go to Buffalo still.
I don't think he got signed.
No, he didn't. He didn't. I just assumed that the Bills were going to
re-sign him.
Yeah, wait and then see if he can get anything, and if not, bring him back. Because I know that Matt Hollins went over and joined the Patriots as well, which I'm really excited for because he's a tall guy. He brought a lot to Buffalo last year, especially in the playoff games, and that's what I like to see. That's what I'm all about is that playoff and Super Bowl football. Because if you can't fuck all in the regular season, I don't care about that. I need you to produce like that in the postseason as well, and that's something that Mac Hollins did. And with a young quarterback in Drake May, and somebody that's willing to throw it all out on the line like Mac Hollins, and with Tet McMillan or Travis Hunter coming over to New England, I think that he can be a great help. So maybe it goes 1, Tet McMillan, 2, Pop Douglas, and then 3, Mac Hollins. I know that's kind of a toss-up for me because Demario Douglas really, really proved himself last year, and I really like him as a starter. But as far as him and Tet McMillan or him and Travis Hunter goes, that number 1 spot goes to which one of those guys. And I could be wrong about my mock draft, and the Patriots could go on the other side of the ball and draft Abdul Carter if he's available, because that's also a really good pick that these teams should be thinking about. Abdul Carter is a hell of an edge rusher from Penn State, and he's a day 1 starter, and he's a difference maker. So if he's available and Tet McMillan is available, I see the Patriots going for Abdul Carter, especially Mike Vrabel coming in to the organization and immediately going for that defense. He did make some moves on the offense and the offensive line, but for the most part, it's been defense in free agency for the Patriots. And, I'm here for it. I mean, the defense didn't really do that bad last season. It was the offense that really struggled, and that really showed on early. And so on the defense, I mean, if you look up the stats for passing defense, we were down at the bottom, but rushing defense, we were up. I like that. So, add in, was it Carlton Davis III to the other side to help up Christian Gonzalez. I like that. I really like that a lot. And, Harold Landry on the edge, I like that too. We need some pressure. We don't have Matthew Judon no more. He's in Atlanta, so that's really good. And, Milton Williams, we needed that interior defensive line to be fixed. That was a huge problem. We got Christian Barmore there. That's solid as well. But for the most part, on the offensive side of the ball is where the Patriots should be focusing on the most. For the rest of free agency, you brought up Amari Cooper. I would take Amari Cooper because that's a guy that you could get on the low end of the deal. And in closing, because I know that we're strapped for time, we've been going a long time. I'm not saying that the Patriots are going to be a playoff football team this year or next year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did make that and make that into reality with the way that things are going since Vrabel has signed, because this is something that we did not see from Gerard Mayo. And I mean, I know that some people aren't happy that he got terminated. I don't stand on either side anymore. I mean, he was a fantastic linebacker coach for us. He played with us. He's a Super Bowl champion. Maybe a head coaching thing just isn't right for him. That's my thought on it. I didn't think that he did too bad for what he was given. 4 wins with the Buffalo game. And I think that was the deciding factor. I don't know what you think about it, but I think that if New England loses that Buffalo game, and they end up with the number 1 overall pick, I think Gerard Mayo may be the head coach of the Patriots still. I think that really played. I think that was the final nail in the coffin. There was a bunch of stuff that happened that would determine this stuff, but the final nail in the coffin, in my opinion, is that Buffalo game where Gerard, and I know they could put the blame on Joe Milton III and his wanting to win attitude and prove himself, but at the end of the day, you should be able to pull back as a head coach and say, hey, this is not what I want for this team. I want this team to have the best chance at succeeding in the future.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. Mike Vrabel's the head coach, and I'm really excited for this. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if New England try to make a run for it. The first thing that they should focus on is not the Chiefs. They should be focusing on Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, and the Buffalo Bills. That's the first thing that they should be focusing on. Everybody else in the East sucks at this point. The Jets suck, and so do the Dolphins. That's all I got for the NFL, though, brother.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on everything you said. So with that, I think it's time to close out. This will be aired tomorrow.
Yep.
Saturday, the 22nd, I believe, is what it is. And then we should be back to our regular schedule as long as nothing comes up. And we'll keep everybody posted
for sure
on our social medias. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and also like and subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. And commenting. Yeah, I mean, give us comments, give us criticism.
Anything.
Anything. Everything helps.
Everything
and with that, the starters may get the glory, but the benchwarmers bring the fun. Tune in for another episode of the BenchWarmers Podcast, and have a good night.
Peace.